Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about special right triangles. So there are two of them. There's the 30, 60, 90 triangle. So 30 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees. The ratio of those are opposite from 30 degrees is going to be x. The hypotenuse is twice of the length of x. And then opposite from the 60 degree angle, it's x times the square root of 3. And the other special triangle is the 45, 45, 90. The two legs, they're both the same. So they're both x and x, and then your hypotenuse is the leg, which is x, times square root of 2. So these are true for every 30, 60, 90 triangle, as well as every 45, 45, 90 triangle. So you can use these ratios to solve for x, and in turn, figure out all the missing sides. So let's start with this triangle. 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and we're given 12 as this leg's length. So what we're going to do is set up the ratio. So we know that opposite from 60 degrees, we have 12. So if we look at our special triangle, opposite from 60 degrees, we have x square root of 3. So what we're going to do is set our length, 12 equals to x root 3, and solve for x. So the first step is always figure out what x is. So then we divide both sides by square root of 3, so that way we can get x by itself. So those cancel out. And then we have x equals 12 divided by the square root of 3. So we can't leave our answer like this because this is not rationalized. So we have to multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 3 over the square root of 3, so that way we can rationalize the denominator. So that gets us 12 square root of 3 over square root of 9. And then the square root of 9 we know is 3. And we can reduce a little further. So 12 divided by 3 is 4, square root of 3. So x in this 30, 60, 90 triangle is 4 root 3. But we're looking for the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse, if you go up to your rule, it's twice the length of x. So if we know that x equals 4 root 3, the hypotenuse is going to be 8 square root of 3. So we multiply it by 2 to get 8 square root of 3. Alright, so let's try another one. So I'm going to start by drawing out the rules again, so that way you have it on screen. So this time we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle. We know that opposite from the 90 degree, we have the length of 9. So we're going to go back, look at our 30, 60, 90 triangle. Opposite from the 30 degrees, we have x. So we know that 9 is going to equal x. So knowing that, we can figure out the other leg and the hypotenuse relatively pretty straightforward. So we know the hypotenuse is 2 times x, and we know the other leg is x times square root of 3. So the other leg is going to be 9 square root of 3, and the hypotenuse is going to be 18. Alright, so we take x, we multiply it by 2 to get our hypotenuse, which is 18. To get the other leg, the leg opposite from the 60 degree angle, we take x and we multiply it by the square root of 3, which is what we have down here. Alright, so one more. Say we have a 60, 30, 90, or 30, 60, 90 triangle again. This time we have the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse given to us is 40. What we're going to do is set it equal to what the hypotenuse of the 30, 60, 90 triangle is, which is 2x. So 40 equals 2x. And then, of course, we have to go through and solve for x. So to solve for x, we're going to divide both sides by 2. So therefore, x equals 20. So if we look at our ratio, opposite from 30 degree is x. So opposite from the 30 degree angle is this blue one. So we know that the blue length is 20. And then opposite from the 60 degree angle, opposite from the 60 degree angle is x square root of 3, which in this case is going to be 20 square root of 3. Alright, so let's do a couple more. Again, here are our rules. Alright, so let's say we have this. So we have this 45, 90 degree angle or triangle. So we know it's 45, 45, 90 because since both of these legs are the same, that tells us both of our angles opposite from them are also going to be the same. So they're both going to be 45-degree angles. So using our rule for 45, 45, 90 triangle, the legs are length x, and the hypotenuse is x times root 2. So since we know that our legs are 12, that makes our hypotenuse 12 square root of 2. 12 times square root of 2. Alright, so let's say we have this one down here. We're given hypotenuse being 15. We know that both of these legs are the same. That tells us it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So we have hypotenuse being 15, so we're going to go back to our triangle, use the rule for the hypotenuse, which is x root 2. So we're going to set 15 equal to x root 2 and solve for x. Divide both sides by square root of 2. So again, we can't leave this fraction like this because we have to rationalize the denominator. So we got to multiply the top and the bottom by root 2 over root 2. So then that gets us 15 square root of 2 over the square root of 4, which we know to be 2. So therefore both of our legs are going to be 15 root 2 over 2. And one more. We have an equilateral triangle this time, length being 14. We are trying to figure out the altitude from the top to the bottom. So, knowing that this is an equilateral triangle, that tells us the angle on the inside, they're all going to be 60. Alright, so if we look at this red line that's cutting it in half, we need to make this into a right triangle. So this line cuts it in half. We're going to ignore one of the other sides. So we just erase one of the sides, ignore it. So since we cut this in half, we know the angle up here is going to be 30. Half of 60 is 30. And now we have to use our rule down here. It is this one, 30, 60, 90 triangle. So the hypotenuse is 2x. So we're going to set 14 equals to 2x and then solve for x. Divide both sides by 2, so therefore x equals 7. So opposite from 30 is x, so that's 7. And then opposite from the 60 is x square root of 3. So the altitude is x root 3. Alright, so hope that helps.